6:30.
All right, 6:30, I'll call the meeting to order. First up on the agenda, is there any modifications or changes to tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to public comment. There doesn't appear to be anybody from the public here tonight. So we'll move on to review and approval for the minutes of July 27th, 2020. If everyone got a chance to look those over and there was no errors, I'll hear a motion to accept them.
I'll second.
All right, with the first and the second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right, up next, law enforcement discussion. Sheriff Roger Enosburg. Good evening.
Hey, good evening. I'm here on behalf of Jonathan, giving me a call and saying, hey, can you help us with this detailed information or data that we have from the speed signs? I'm going to do the best I can. It's different than our speed cart that we have. What I basically did, I had a hard time interpreting the graphs. When you have a lot of data, that's what you get.
It's like an EKG.
However, from this, we certainly can glean, like this one here is Orchard Street. You know, starting at 30 miles an hour is where the bulk of all this starts. You know, it ends with a couple of high flyers, which we usually, discount. So basically, our speeding is from 30 to 50 miles per hour on Orchard Street, pretty consistently. And then you got some high flyers. You got 3 of them at, well, 2 at 60 plus, and then 1 at nearly 70 miles an hour. I think that one read on the charts at 68 miles per hour.
Pick those out for you.
That's 25
Right.
on Orchard Street, so
Yeah.
you're talking twice the speed limit.
Almost 3 times at 70 miles an hour.
Mustangs are built well.
And that's when it was facing,
Black one is better.
facing west.
Yeah.
That would have been when it was facing west, yes.
So through the dip, coming up over the hill
Yeah.
at 68.
And I would have suspected that direction.
You can almost get airborne.
But anyway, that's what I got from these 2 charts. And it wasn't that different than what Water Tower Road was. Water Tower wasn't as egregious, but still around 30 to 50 miles per hour seems to be the average on that road. And again, you have some high flyers. You got one there at 60. I think it was 3 or 4, if I remember reading, going through the individual data. So we definitely will have a plan. We've talked about it. I'll email it to you so that you know what it is. But we'll address both these roads. I did drive them both today. I saw the signs that you have out there, the speed things. I really like those. I don't know how expensive they were, but they give you a lot of valuable information. They're well worth their money.
They were about 4,000 a piece.
Yeah.
But you can move them around, you can flip them, and now they've been flipped around in the other direction from when this data was sent to you.
Yep.
And you can also pick them up and move them to a totally different street if you want. You got to put another post in to put them in another, street, another location, but you can't do that with the same sign and move them around.
It's perfect. I think it collected a lot of data. Too much data. I would suggest maybe dumping that data every 2 weeks. You'll see that these charts are much more easily read and stuff. So what I got going through like individual pages on both roads, it's not much of a surprise. The morning from 6:30, say to 9 in the morning, is really when traffic picks up there, the highest number of traffic, highest volume of cars. And also your speeds, like, above the speed limit. At some point you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100% of the cars in that hour are speeding. Those are the hours we want to highlight.
That's a pretty good percentage.
And in the evening, afternoon, again, it seems like commuter hours coming back home. It's 3 p.m. in the afternoon to just about 6 at night. Your highest volume of traffic and your most consistent high speeds around that time too. Your high flyers, again, 62 to 68, you only had a couple of those, but those were kind of erratic and all over the place. So those would be hard for us to really set up and monitor. But this other stuff, we can drive down the speed, some good enforcement by being out there.
So if the majority of the speed issues happen between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., and we don't have a deputy here until 5:30, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be kind of difficult to
Yeah,
manage that.
Yeah, we can adjust our hours. And also I want to utilize some governor's highway safety funds. You know, you guys are good to us. I want to do that as well. It would be ideal if I can get 2, 3 troopers to work the detail like I'm going to suggest tomorrow. And be very active like a couple times during the week. And kind of move it around a little bit, not necessarily sit, you know, maybe 2 days on Orchard Street, and then we're done. Then it might be a day on, separated on Water Tower, you know, that type of thing, and gone.
So it'll take some time to.
Yep, and you know, and be aggressive, everybody gets a ticket. That type of thing, because this is showing it's out of control. And you're not alone. I got a call today from Franklin. They have some speed issues they want us to work on. I saw a couple stolen cars recently. Sheldon also called us for this particular area of interest that they want us to aggressively enforce. Speeding, I get calls almost every day in every town in Franklin County. And I'm not the only one. In Moyle County, you get from Jefferson County.
Right.
People just driving faster today.
Everybody's in a hurry.
Yeah, you know, and
Get nowhere.
coming out of COVID, I don't think they saw a lot of police. We really didn't change, I think Nate will tell you, we really didn't change how we did business. We tried to do it as safe as we could, but we still did quite a bit of enforcement. But some others backed off, that was their policy, they went to a quote level 3 response, where unless they got T-boned, they weren't really do much. You know, we're feeling some effects of that, but they are kicking it back up. I have in your packet an email that I often get from the state police. They share information, we share information as well. I'll let them know what our plan is. You might see 2 deputies and a trooper out there doing this detail. You know, we do quite a bit with them whenever we possibly can partner with them. The more the merrier, there's not enough of us out there.
For sure.
So this obviously isn't an isolated problem related to Enosburg. Is there any other towns in the community that had similar problems to this, but you found a solution?
Just strict enforcement. You know, I tell the guys all the time, you know, when we do performance evaluations, that, you know, I want them to write a number of tickets, but I also want them to give a number of warnings. You know, that have to be a nice balance of 50-50. Email went out recently where, you know, we're going to step up the ticket side of it, maybe a 75-25, till we can get some control on the speed.
Right.
We also need help with the court systems. They toss things.
Way too easily.
And that hurts. You know, it also hurts the morale of the deputies that are out there enforcing stuff.
Right.
For that. But that's something I can work on, and I'll get with the courts and everything, and you know, and just tell them that we need to be aggressively enforcing these tickets.
So the problem with the courts, is that related to loose ordinances, or?
I wouldn't necessarily say loose ordinances. I would just say they take every opportunity they can to, you know, make it soft on the public.
Right.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's tough to enforce a ticket. In my career, I didn't lose many tickets. You count them on one hand. But today, it's a lot different. You know, I don't know, Nate, if you have had that experience, or
I do know that guys were losing tickets when they brought Enosburg's ordinance because it wasn't specific enough as to what streets, speed zones particularly. The way that Georgia has it laid out, it'll say like Oakland Station Road, 40 mile per hour. It'll list it, but Enosburg doesn't do that.
Post?
We can't go by the posting anymore.
So that sounds like that's something that needs to change.
That was repealed in 2015.
So our court system is saying that, I mean, I've seen ordinances written very similar all over the state to the way Enosburg Falls ordinances are, and actually much looser in some cases than the way Enosburg's are written. So our court system is now saying, sorry, municipalities, all 255 of you, you're gonna have to rewrite all your ordinances. That can't be, I mean, that can't be right.
It was a handful
These
of
have been
instances that
valid
went in.
for, you know, 60 years, and all of a sudden they're not valid anymore. That can't possibly
but
be
again,
correct.
Jonathan, that's part of the thing that some of these newly appointed judges.
The whole court system has changed so much.
Yeah. You know, some of them, you know, you write a violation, but I think one of them was electronic, you know, it's It's Title 23, say like 1275, parentheses A, parentheses B, and then that could, and if you didn't have the parentheses and the B or whatever, they dismissed the.
Yeah, that sounds like, you know, that's an attitude thing. That's not something that's inherently wrong with the way the law is written. That's a judge that doesn't want to enforce the law.
Well, and
That's a different problem.
Right, and that's what we're up against, so, you know, and
Yeah,
we are
when
addressing
you're
that.
looking for things like that, oh, you're missing a parentheses here.
Right.
Okay, judge, you just don't want to enforce the law, then, I mean, that's absurd.
And when we're writing that 1007 ticket, that speed ticket for the local speed zone, which is, you know, on all your village streets, we have to have that accompanying ordinance, the judge has said. And the one that we bring for Enosburg just basically says all streets in the village is a 25 mile an hour zone. It doesn't have it listed out, and that's what this one judge wanted to see.
I mean, as in East Street, 25 miles an hour, Pleasant Street, 25
Right.
miles an hour.
And not only that, but from the start of the intersection of
Okay,
Two-
Main and
if
Pleasant.
there's another
Yeah, I
road
mean,
at the end of it
that's-
to the
That's a
intersection.
fair amount of
Yeah.
paperwork.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like double the size of our ordinances. If we got to go through and name every single street and then describe, you know, where the speed limits start and stop on, because some streets have multiple speed limits on them. They aren't even one speed limit. You know, there might be 40 in one area, then down to 35, then down to 25, and then back up to 40 again on a different part of the same street.
So that's why that all streets need to go over 25 miles per hour will work as well.
But, yeah, okay, well.
But if it's gonna keep them from getting tossed out,
Right, if
It's a lot of work.
If it's a loophole on our end, we should
Yeah.
close it.
Because
Yep.
it doesn't take long for one person to figure that out, that this judge is that way, and then other friends have gotten tickets to family
Yep.
members, it spreads like wildfire, and then everybody's knowing to fight the ticket rather than just pay the ticket.
and the interest today is clear the court.
George's is probably 2 pages, I think, and something similar to what they have would be really helpful to us, taking that to court with us. Same with stop signs.
What do you mean?
Every street that stop signs are posted at, an ordinance to accompany it.
And
And
then
I
you
get you a copy of the Georgia one, I'll sign it to you.
Okay, if they somehow got all that into 2 pages, that's pretty good, I'd like to see that.
We want their shorthand.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia's doesn't have quite the density of population and maybe street numbers that the village of Enosburg Falls has, but, you know, they've got a bigger space. I don't know how many roads there are in Georgia, but I know there's quite a few. If they condense that somehow into 2 pages, that was pretty good writing. I would be interested in seeing if you got a copy of it.
That's probably part of the confusion, if they have a lot of roads with variable speed limits, then I would say that's probably the reason why they cleaned it up and just listed everything specifically. But it may not be a bad idea for us to do the same thing, if it's gonna help.
You know, in the meantime, we'll continue to write tickets. I included in your packets the May, June, and July police report. The difference between May and June is that we were still 7 days a week there. In July, we were 5 days a week started.
You would happen to have the data from your speed cart when you had it up last year to compare it to this?
I can look.
Because they were roughly in the same area. But it might be interesting to compare, see how your speed card effectiveness compares to the lighted signs.
I'll see if we still have that.
Okay. Well, any other questions? Anything on your end?
No, I think things are going pretty well. Yeah, you know, again, speeding is the number one complaint I get. But the more cars we stop, the more we find,
Right.
which is a good thing. You know, you see all those reports, and the DLSs, that's how you find them, you stop a car. You know, they got a suspended license. It's either a civil ticket they get, or they get the criminal citation if they get two or more of the civil violations.
Is there another statute, I know the 1007 is for the local ordinance, is there another statute you could write the ticket under to eliminate the issue with the ordinance? I know there's a couple of different But I know the 1007 gets used within the village, because some of that money comes back
Right.
to the town, which we would lose
So
that
if-
benefit, but,
If it's a town highway, we have to write the 1007, and the bulk of the money would come back to the town. If it's a state highway, such as between like the parking ride and the mobile,
right.
we have to write the 1003, which is the state statute.
Okay, I knew there was the two, but I didn't, and I knew there was a different reasoning for when you could write it. Okay.
And we emphasize writing a municipal ticket as
So the money.
often as we
Yeah.
can, because we work for you guys.
So yeah, I guess if you could get that ordinance from Georgia
Yep.
over, and we'll take a look, and we'll see what we can do about, adopting something similar to that. That way it just makes
Please
it
give you a guide as to.
Yep.
I did drive up Water Tower Road. There's not a whole, there's a 25-mile-an-hour sign when you're coming up. I'll have to drive it again when I'm coming down to see where the last 25-mile-an-hour sign is before you come down the hill, just after Jenny's house. If not, we probably should have a sign there, because I think that's a hot
Yeah,
spot right there.
I think there
Well,
is
there's
one.
two, there's one at each direction, so as you're heading north
Yep.
up Water Tower Road, there is a 25-mile-per-hour sign. I think it's like right around where Dr. DeBruin's office is, the dentist office, do you know where that is?
Yep. Okay.
And then if you're heading south, coming from Berkshire into the town and village, the village border is also the town border with Berkshire. There's a 25-mile-per-hour sign right at the town-village border with Berkshire.
I have a question about that one, actually.
Yeah.
So when you're going out of town towards Berkshire, when you're coming into the village, there's, the speed signs are in two different spots. It looks like you put the reduced speed ahead sign right at the town line, and then a couple hundred yards ahead, you have the 25-mile-per-hour sign. Is there any reason that they're in different spots? It's been that way for a while.
I guess I'm not following what it sounds like you're saying we put the reduced speed sign in the town of Berkshire.
Nope, it's
And
right
No,
in
on the
Enosburg.
border.
It's on the border.
Yeah,
And then the 25 is right after that.
yes.
Okay, and you don't like that?
Well, just because they're not, there's a couple hundred yards there where people are in Enosburg Village in what should be a 25-mile-per-hour zone, but they haven't reached the first 25-mile-per-hour sign yet, if they're coming into Berkshire.
Okay.
Right, 'cause theoretically, that'd be a
So,
village
yeah,
street.
you're
at
still
that
doing
point.
55.
Yeah, I
Which
guess
is
I'll have to
close.
look at it. I thought it was like real close to the town border with Berkshire, but you're saying it's
I feel like it's a couple hundred yards.
couple hundred
I
yards
feel like we
past
should be
that.
able to move it back a little
Huh.
bit and put the reduced speed ahead sign in Berkshire.
I did notice that though, it's the same as West Enosburg Road. The 25 doesn't happen until a little bit after the town line. So I don't know if there's some sort of statute where you have to have X amount of leeway when a new road starts, because it turns from West Enosburg Road to a village road at that point. So say they need 100 yards leeway when you start a new road and post the sign.
I haven't seen anything in writing, and until somebody challenges it, they say, oh, those signs are too close. But, like Nate saying, maybe the more distance you can put a little bit apart or something, it's gonna give them time to react and take that excuse away where, yeah, I saw the sign, but it was right after
Didn't
that.
give me time to slow down.
Right. It is clearly visible at the town line.
We've written them in that area, and people are like, well, how come the signs are posted different? You have 150 right there, and the 25 is right here.
Well, it depends on the direction you're going. If you're heading north, you're crossing from Enosburg into Berkshire, and it turns to 50 from 25 at the Berkshire line. If you're heading south, it's the opposite. You're coming
Right, but the sign
down.
is not posted that way. That's what he's saying.
That's what he's saying.
You got like 200 yards where it should be 25, but you're still going 50 coming from Berkshire.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. I'll look at it.
I can
If
verify that.
it should, you can verify that?
Yeah,
You've
I've
seen
got
that? Okay. Well, I'll go drive up and see for myself. And if it is like that, I don't see why we can't push it back closer to the town line. No reason why that shouldn't be. Might as well. I mean, it should be 25 right at the town line. I thought it was closer than what you were describing, but if not, then, I'll talk to Gary about it. Gary Denton's our Public Works Director.
It's pretty
I
helpful.
appreciate you bringing that up though, and letting me know, but I don't know that that would really excuse a speed limit, or, I'm sorry, a speeding ticket.
You know how excuses
Yeah,
go.
sounds like it depends on the judge.
Because it's not technically 25 until you
Yeah,
are at that sign, so.
there comes the
If
but.
you're in that range and you're going 50, you're still technically going the speed limit until they physically pass that 25-mile-an-hour sign.
Yeah. Do you really think that they slowed down that much right when they got to the,
I'm just,
I mean, if they're
No,
going over
but
25.
isn't it a good excuse to get out of the ticket and fight the ticket
Yeah, I
still?
The whole
guess.
splitting hairs thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going 40, you're still going over 25. You may not be going 50, but you're still well over the speed limit. But, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
It's quite a long way.
And if it needs to get adjusted, then, you know,
Street view says.
we'll get it moved closer to the town line. Thanks for bringing that up.
My last question was, if we're adjusting the hours, I guess like the hours of coverage, how difficult would that be through the contracts through the town?
Right.
Would you just approach them and be like, hey, we want to start at 4 now instead of?
Yeah, we've let them know, you know, and they've been pretty accommodating and stuff, you know. They might ask why, and we'll tell them, and they're all for it, why. Yeah, Billy Joe's pretty good at getting back to us and stuff, and we recommend our work requests, I think.
That's good. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it would be beneficial to get the people coming home from work, you know, bad as it sounds, but they seem to be the troublemakers at this point, so.
That's the highest volume of traffic, and if you really want to make an impact, you know, they start seeing, you know, the sheriffs are out, it's like,
You're
you gotta
seen,
slow down.
seen by many.
And when I was leaving the office tonight, there was someone who called from Orchard Street that said, hey, we got a speeding issue on Orchard Street.
Well, if we can save one life, it's worth it.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that's all that I have. Unless anybody else has any questions or comments?
And if you do,
Other
just
than
call.
thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. See you guys. Okay. Next up, Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation request for dedicated bench on Lincoln Park.
So Tim Smith was going to come and talk with you guys. He's not here yet. I don't know if you want to skip down to the next item.
Yeah, we can.
I'm sure he'll be here shortly.
So we'll move on to new copier lease.
So, yeah, gave you guys a bunch of information on, our copier contract is up in September, we need to get a new contract, which also means a new machine. I've reached out to SimQuest, Usherwood, and National Business Technologies. Right now, we currently are with National Business Technologies. After talking with staff and looking at our usage, our copier usage, our recommendation is going with the 8,000 black and white copies and 2,500 color, and to go with SimQuest. The rates were the lowest, and not only that, but they offer a really great service package, and we've had some issues with the company that we're with right now. The company that we were with actually got back to me today and was willing to match the per copy rate, which changes the rate, but after kind of discussion, specifically with Psyche, because she uses it the most, there's been a lot of issues.
Service is primo.
Yeah, and both her and I have had a pretty good relationship and experience with SimQuest. They have a lot of their own parts and supplies in a warehouse in Burlington. They're local, have the 4-hour response. I mean, their technician would come out on the weekend if we needed something to happen.
Well, that means a lot.
So, and I know the sales rep for this area, we are actually one of 2 municipalities in Franklin County that is not with SimQuest at this point in time. And I know MVU School District just switched over to them as well. They're a great company, I've worked with them many times, so that's our recommendation. It would save, right now on average, maybe like $9 a month, but from what we're paying right now.
So we're only allowed 8,000 copies a month, black and white.
Right.
That's what's included, right?
Right now, our contract is for 10, but if you go through there's, I think, 4 months, 4 months out of the year where we went over. The 11,000 copies was an extra notice we had to send out with stuff. It was a COVID thing. I think when VCAP and all of the programs kind of started rolling through with the state, it was extra notices that we needed to send out. That's why that's so high. But even at their per copy rate, it would still be cheaper.
There's no
And then-
penalty for running over?
Nope, it just means, so if we only have 8,000 copies a month, but we print 8,500 copies, we just have to pay 500 copies at the .0075 rate.
Okay.
So they just add it to our bill. So if we do happen to go over, we might just get charged a little bit more
But
that
that's the
month.
exception rather than the rule.
Correct,
And either way, it's still cheaper than
yes,
our current provider, well, almost as cheap as our current providers,
correct,
least.
yes.
Well, I know what it was like to deal with service people, and service was one of the most important things of all. It sometimes was even more important than price, because if you can't get help and you can't get something fixed on time, it's not pleasant.
No, and for us, especially with either taxes
Things
or
have to be done.
utility bills, we're on a timeline for when stuff has to happen, so. That would be our recommendation at this point in time. Obviously, it's up to you guys, but SimQuest has been fantastic, and they're local, which is nice. We're national, just moved everything over to New York, so they're coming from the Albany area when they do need service. And we're supposed to be on an automatic for our supplies and our toners. It's supposed to be automatic. They say that they can just read into the machine, see when we need stuff, and we've run out multiple times, and then they don't want to give us an extra. And it's just hasn't been the greatest this last year. I guess it's really deteriorated. So we'd like to make a switch to a more local company if possible.
Yeah. And is there any, did you have to go out for 3 bids? Since it's not really a purchase, it's more of a lease.
I did do the 3 bids. We've got the SimQuest, Usherwood is in yellow, and National is in that like peach kind of color at the bottom. So I did talk to the 3 companies that are kind of the biggest service in the area. Usherwood came back with a few different machines, but
Yeah, sounds pretty straightforward to me.
Me too.
If everyone agrees, I'll hear a motion to accept SimQuest for our next.
I move we accept SimQuest.
Second first, second, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed nay. Okay, enjoy your new copy.
it's always fun to figure out how to use it.
Yeah.
All right, up next we have manager's report. Since Tim isn't here.
Can't see. Walls in the way.
First, I'll give you guys a quick update on the Plouffe Village scoping study. After further discussions with Chris Sargent from DuBois and King Engineering, it looks like the trustees' September 14th meeting is going to work out best for a discussion on the results of the public survey and recommendations from the management team on the scoping study. Recall the board members had asked for a larger venue to hold this meeting. I have checked with the town regarding use of the emergency services building space, and the town has said that they would allow the village to use that location, but there's 2 caveats with that. So one is there is going to be a fire department training session in the building at that same time. They have training sessions every Tuesday night there. So we just need to realize that there's going to be some background noise, and if we can deal with that and we're fine with that, then they're okay. The other thing is that they are asking that the attendees that come to the trustees meeting park up at the recreational fields rather than in the spaces around the emergency services building. I think that they're worried about if they get a call out or something. They
We're in
don't,
the way.
right, they don't want to have trouble getting the emergency vehicles out of, yeah.
It's a very short little walk down the slope from one parking lot to the other. And I've been in the emergency services buildings at meetings during Tuesday nights training sessions, and yeah, it gets a little bit noisy for a couple minutes now and then, but it's no big deal.
Yeah, we've done it before. So with those two caveats, if the board is okay with that, then we can use the space, but I wanted to check with you guys and make sure that you were okay with those conditions before I
I'd
told
say that's
her
fine.
absolutely yes. Okay,
I think we're flexible enough to make it.
okay, all right, good, then I'll let Billy Joe know we do want that date then for September 14th, and I'll let the rest of the D&K team and the management team know as well that that's going to be the date we do public discussion about the survey results. All right, great. Also, want to give you a quick update on the road paving projects. You may have noticed that we started that last week, and at this given point in time, various road projects are in, different conditions of completion. Some are actually done, some are still being milled, but weather permitting, as long as we don't get any heavy rain this week, we should be done by the end of Friday, we're being told by
And
ECR.
lucky so far.
Yeah, actually, it was supposed to rain yesterday and it didn't. It's supposed to rain today and so
Looks pretty
far it
good.
hasn't, so we're getting ready, we'll get lucky on that part of it.
I know they're working very hard on Depot Street, because I'm on Depot Street every day. Mostly straightening the paintings, but it's okay. But, yeah, it's very obvious that crew is there to work.
Yeah, I'm sure they
They're
want to
coming along very nicely.
I'm sure they want to get it done because that's a fairly busy street, they get a lot of.
But
traffic.
everybody's cooperating. They have a sign a nicely made sign in the window of the vet clinic now that says there's additional parking at the back of the Quincy. So that now all of the people that are coming with their pets that can't park out front are just coming right in and going in the Quincy parking lot and then going over to the building. So it's working very well.
Oh, good. That's good to hear. Thanks, Andy.
Welcome.
And then the third thing, I wanted to bring this up. This is kind of a housekeeping item, but something that historically we have always done. And that is to check in with the board and see whether you want to make the non-contracted employees' wage increases the same as the union contracted employees' wage increases, which historically the trustees have always done that, but they've also asked that, you come in and check with them annually and make sure that that is what the intent is, that that's what they want to do. So this year's union contracts are set at a 3% wage increase, so that would be for the other non-contracted employees. So that's, in case you're wondering, it's the 3 other office positions that are not union, so the finance director, public works director, or actually it's 4, and then the staff accountant and the receptionist position.
I know about the finance director.
Yeah,
Certainly sounds fair.
I think so.
all right, just making sure that that's what the board's intent was. Historically, that has always been the intent, but the trustees have always said, just, come back to us every year just to verify. So, great, and then also related to that, just a reminder, the manager's annual evaluation date is approaching. I'll be putting an evaluation sheet along with related materials in the board members' boxes for your consideration, and I believe Sam Valancourt, your chair, will be following up with the board about the evaluation to discuss that with the board members.
We'll go into executive next meeting.
Okay. Yep.
And then lastly, just a reminder that next meeting, August 24th, I will not be at the trustees meeting. I'll be at the Northeast Public Power Association Board of Directors annual meeting and conference. And I'll get caught up with whatever actions are taken by the board at that 24th meeting when I return to the office on the 26th. Keep everything moving. And I still will put together the packets and stuff and check with the chair to make sure we've got everything that is intended to be on the agenda for that meeting there in county floor. So, and that's it for manager's report.
All right, thank you, John. Okay, our last agenda item for tonight, Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation request for a dedicated bench on Lincoln Park. I believe that was you, Tim. All right, good evening.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Oh,
Sandy-
good.
Sandy,
I've
you're
done that before.
you're
I'm so
shut
glad
off.
you did it. Only I did it twice.
Mark the page so you can see. So, Franklin County Industrial Development, actually, we just celebrated our 50th anniversary. And,
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we've had some long-term board members, and some have recently chosen to get off the board. And one of those individuals is Steve Plouffe. Steve Plouffe has been on the board for 22 years. He's been representing this part of the county for doing a great job. And he has decided time to change. When we started the policy, I think we probably have about 10 of these benches around the county. Gary Phillips had one up in Montgomery. We did one when we passed. We did a different style of bench for Val at the Opera House. We gave the town one for the rail trail. We gave Swanton one for their playground. We dedicated one to Don Poirier, who some of you may know. We dedicated one to Bud Brewery, Ken Kay, all longtime members. So this is something that we have chosen to do to honor those individuals who have served 20 plus years. And I reached out to Steve to get his suggestions on where he thought it would be appropriate for a bench in his name. As you can see, by the time we get shipping and whatnot and did the placards, we invested about $1,000 in these. I did just drive by the park. I know that's not the same style as what you folks have had. But so I talked to John briefly and wanted to come and pitch the idea of doing that. John and his team was helpful in installing the one on the rail trail. And that would be my only ask, is that we would get it here and that your crew put it in place.
And that one certainly looks nice.
Is this the same style as the one that is over by the rail trail?
Exact same thing. So
Yeah.
same, you ordered from the same
You
guy.
guys have a photograph that Tim had sent to me, the style of the bench.
So in that catalog, it's that upper one, it's a black 6-foot archback.
And there are already 2 black curvilinear bicycle racks
Yeah.
on the park,
And it's
which blend well with this particular bench, if that's going in the park. And certainly that, aesthetically,
Yeah, that-
they go well together.
I agree when you have, that was in Montgomery for Gary Phillips. And Gary passed.
Does it have their name on the plaque, or is it just?
It's tricky because you only get 24 letters, including spaces, so we really play around with the wording, but yeah, it would be dedicated in honor of Steve Plouffe and his time with serving on SAD or something similar to that. But yeah, Steve's name would be on it.
And I know there's some, I believe there are wooden benches in the park already.
Concrete with wood 2x4s.
And I would assume we want to replace the wooden bench with this?
I think it's up to you guys. You could either put a new bench in a new location, if the board is in favor of doing this, or we could remove one of the wooden concrete benches and put this one in instead of the wooden concrete one.
I have a only woman sitting here on the board. Sorry. On this end. There is one granite bench, and I will call it in the front of the park, that is for the peace bench for the access that was there.
Mr.
But it's here, yeah, Gary King. It's here.
Yeah.
There's a bike rack here and another bike rack here. I don't know if the cannon would be an interference with putting that bench so that it's kind of across the park from that granite bench so that aesthetically it would end up not sticking out like a sore thumb, would kind of look like it belonged there.
So kind of on the
Near
other,
the cannon?
the other
Over
side.
near the cannon, yeah, on the other
On
side
the
of
other
the
side
park,
of the
yeah.
cannon.
Facing Main Street, you know, and a nice place to
Be
sit for a
close enough to
little
the bike
respite.
racks, so that
Close
people
enough to
can-
the bike racks, older people could sit and watch the traffic, not me.
I don't think you have a lot of sitting here.
But anyway, that's my thought, as opposed to removing one of the wooden and concrete benches and then having that bench be so totally different from all the others.
What I really like about these is it's, assuming they don't get scraped out, but pretty much maintenance free. I mean, they're
Yeah.
pretty durable, they're very durable. Whether someone scratches their initials into it, that's fine.
Yeah, I was just checking it out.
But
It's
the quick paint job is probably the whole
the
thing.
size of the cannon.
I don't know how the
Bike
long
rack.
trail is.
Well, we've pampered it a little bit. We brought it in for the winter. Yeah, just to try and take care of it a little more. We've actually, there's bolts holding it onto a concrete pad so we can unbolt it and remove it. We did that last winter. I think the idea is to keep doing that to stretch the lifespan on it. We did have to make some repairs to it. Unfortunately, about 2 weeks after it was installed,
I'm trying to steal it.
yeah, somebody tried to remove the plaque from it. They weren't successful, but they damaged it. So we had to do some fixing of the plaque and get some new bolts for it. But we've done that, and so far this year we haven't had that same problem. Everything's been looking
That
pretty
kind of
good.
comes and goes in cycles.
Yeah, I mean, we all know, vandalism issues or,
They
they're
grow
ju-
up and move away.
Yeah.
We have to
they're-
wait for another one to grow up.
Yeah, sometimes it's a generational thing. and You get a couple bad classes or something, in the high school, and, when they grow up, they go somewhere else, but then maybe a couple more years go by, and then you get some more rowdy ones coming in.
So I haven't ordered the bench yet. I would, I'll put together an order within a week or two, and it's something that you have, and probably mid to late September.
I feel like we should definitely accept the bench, and
For sure.
order we can discuss where to put it and how to put it.
Yeah, I think I have a general idea
I
of
have a good idea.
where Sandy's talking. There's no bench there right now currently, so.
I'll go stand in the parking lot. That's what it is.
Yeah, I say we take it and maybe trust Sandy to point out exactly where it should go.
We get her some spray paint.
Yeah, exactly.
Big
Be like
X.
dig safe. Place here.
Sounds like you've been awarded the project.
Sounds that way. You just need to let me know when I need to be there.
I think somebody can get a hold of you.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
You can always call you.
Can I touch on a couple other things since I'm here?
Sure.
None of you have any place to be. So with Steve off the board, we also had Susan Lewin serving on the board from this area as well. Susan resigned due to she and the sister and are taking care of Mr. Jarvis. Not having a caretaker, but appointments and all that. So she didn't feel she had the time to commit to the board. So we actually have two openings from this part of the county that we're looking to for recommendations or thoughts. And I'm going to go to Sandy's comment about the only trustee, the female trustee.
Well, we have another one. She just isn't here tonight.
That we're trying to, Susan added to our diversity, obviously. So we're looking at a more diverse board. I think Susan got us to that 33% female. But we're looking, so when we look to replace board members, we look geographically, we look at skill sets, we look at diversity. So those are the main three. So, we have a long list of potential replacements, but many of them are male, and we're trying to maintain a diversity on that. So, if you have thoughts, I'm not saying we're ruling out males, but we would like to add to our diversity on the board. So our board is 18 people. Like I said, if you have thoughts, just give me Jonathan or give me an email. We can add it to the list. Hopefully get some good representation from this part of the county. We're having the same discussion in Richford as well. So we have some of you may know Pat Kalikas. Pat lives in Montgomery, so he's on this side of the county, and Bill O'Brien is in Richford as well. So we're trying to add to that balance.
What is the area that we're in? Like, is it just Enosburg town, or is there?
No, I mean, so FCIDC is all Franklin County, so it's sort of the eastern part of the county. You know, it could be Richford, Enosburg, Berkshire area.
So there's no hard boundaries, but just somebody from around
Yeah,
here?
no hard boundaries. Someone who's well versed in the community for sure. And the other one, if you want, I can update you on the Curly block. If you're interested in it.
Yeah.
So, SIDC is moving forward with their due diligence. You may have seen a drilling rig there. So they're putting in monitoring wells to see if there's any contamination coming up. What is now the Notch study, but A-Brown. We've done phase 1, phase 2. We did get a grant from the state to do phase 2, which is about $10,000. SIDC has invested, we just allocated another $10,000, so we've allocated $35,000 to the project and doing our due diligence. To date, we have not locked the building. We do have an option on the building. We've invested $35,000 to date. We are having discussions on parking and right-of-ways regarding the building. We've had historic preservation application filed with the federal government. We've had architectural reviews. We've had the brownfields phase 1 and phase 2. And we've been working with Franklin Northeast Supervisory on a floor plan that works for them. They've been able to come in there to move to that building.
Oh, I just realized I have to talk to one of you, someone, about some furniture. The community bank NA might want to give you some chairs if you need some.
So to that point, when the INS building in St. Albans closed up, my neighbor and I were talking one day, and he was responsible for cleaning the building out by July 1. And he was able to donate furniture to nonprofits. So we stepped in, we took, if you're familiar with the building, there was a YMCA child care facility in there. And they had top of the line furniture, all solid wood, tables and small chairs for kids. They had cots, they had refrigerators, microwaves, bookcases, everything. And he said, if you want it, you can take it. It has to be out in, I think it gives 10 days to get it down. The estimate on that furniture, which we will ultimately hope to move in to the Curly building, is very easily $50,000.
What I get.
Yeah. So, and we do have some chairs from that and some stations, workstations.
These are really nice conference chairs that the bank would like to give you if you like.
Yep. Definitely, and we can put them.
I'll
We
call your
store-
office.
We stored everything in the Energizer building in St. Albans for now. That didn't cost us anything. We did work closely with Jim Cameron on it. Without Jim, we would not have been able to do it. Jim used his guys to move everything. It was a 2-day period. We rented U-Hauls, we rented other trucks, and we were able to get it all, outside. We also took benches and picnic table, so all outside stuff. We're still waiting to hear on the playground. Playground could potentially come to fruition here. It's all bolted down, should really use it, if someone moved in. So that was great news in itself. Yeah, so that's where we're at. And, my board is still behind it. Thanks to John, and we registered to put the application together for CDBG, which will go in September. And I'm very optimistic about that. We'll be asking for $500,000 to help buy the building. Charles Mraz, who's the owner, has been very, very cooperative in getting this done. He's been patient. We're working together on a number of different things, and so he's done a nice collaboration between us. So that's where we're at. We may not hear much about it because all the due diligence going on. We would hope to buy the building. I think our option goes to the end of December.
November of this year.
Yeah, and then once we buy it, we'll jump in and start looking at renovations. The other piece of this is, which is a little disappointing, but we're going to push back on it. We were hoping to the historic preservation, that sort of corrugated metal on the front of the building to come off, and they're saying no.
No.
Really?
Well,
Oh,
because it's been there for so long. It's been there 50 years, I think, or whatever. But we're going to push back, because it'd be great to have that back to a pole right front.
it's so ugly.
Yeah. So we're working on that. We're working on the parking situation. We're having multiple conversations there. So and we're very optimistic about those as well.
Sounds like you're making some real progress.
We are.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
You're working very hard. It's very much appreciated. It's
a
been
little
an
nerve-
eyesore, and it's, when it's done, it's going to be such a boon to the entire downtown. It truly is, and I'm, not just saying it, it just truly is. Yes, the village needs it.
Yeah, and we're holding our breath because everything has come up to our benefit. We've got the childcare for furniture, we've got the $10,000 grant from the Brownfields. Phase 2 didn't expose anything outlandish at all. There's a couple other things that happened. And
Just keep
it's all coming together, just keep rolling. Yeah. I think that's all. If anyone has any questions of me, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming in. Good seeing
You
you all.
don't need to keep all of your catalogs, they're not
Yeah.
free.
Well, no, actually, I've had to pull 2 out of recycling, so I'll put them back in. I think we get one a month because we bought so many benches. Want to keep one? Sure. Might as well.
Always good to have a
Thanks.
catalog.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night, Tim.
All right, that was everything on the agenda,
Woo-hoo.
other than other business. Does anybody have any other business tonight? All right, well, if there's no other business, I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
You have the first, Sam the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. All right.